let's just go ahead and go down the line. Kathleen, do you want to start? Please introduce yourselves and tell us what project you were involved in and in what capacity.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Kathleen Simmonds. I'm the producer and one of the small parts in Claudia.
Well, yes, we saw you. Yes, wonderful.
Hi, I'm Naiya Ortiz. I'm Claudia in Claudia.
Ryan Gosling, I was Ken. Adrian Martinez, I played George.
I'm Jason Serrato. I was the producer on Mildred 4 Million.
Hi, I'm Mair Flores, and I co-wrote Buscando Alma.
Congratulations to you all. So much fun watching these films. And I always felt like there was something that was surprising in each one of them, wasn't there? And I wonder if that's like a kind of a secret sauce on keeping our attention because we're not exactly sure what's going to happen. Now, I'm wondering for you all, did you think that maybe your film wasn't going to happen? And what was a bump that happened along the road? And how did you get through it? Do you want to start with for us, Mair?
Sure. So originally, Melissa, my co-writer and director, reached out to work with her. And we were submitting to a Women in Film Lab project. Mm-hmm. And when we did not get accepted, there was a brief moment where we thought, you know, this is it. But we then chose to really pursue it. In retrospect, the timing could not have been any better because that involved some level of product placement that would not have been authentic to the story. And so truly it's divine timing. It came around and it came together in the way that it was meant to, and the cast came together in the most organic way that it could have.
And about how long ago was that when you started on that project?
Yeah, so she reached out to me a couple days before Christmas of December 2021. It was a pretty quick turnaround. We had about under 3 weeks to write the story and to submit to the lab. And so then we're in 22. 22, after we don't get accepted, we try to do it. Kind of doesn't happen. We shot in 23, and we've started premiering as of 24.
Fantastic. How about for you, Jason, with Mildred for a Million?
That's right.
Which is so much fun.
So that's a great question, by the way. So the literally 2 days before our production began, we almost lost our central location. It's a huge chain grocery store.
Vaughn's?
Mm-hmm. Nope. You figured that. You solved the mystery. If it wasn't for Marla personally going there, none of us could unpack it. We were hitting it from every possible angle. Wow. It was her grocery store, it was her relationship. And literally at the last minute came back in and got everything, pushed it forward for us.
And can I ask you, so what time of day did you do it? Because I saw there was like exterior, but also interior. So what time of day and how long did you have at that location?
It was a 2-day shoot. We were there for 8 hours each day, approximately.
Mm-hmm. And did they section off the grocery store for you?
We kind of had, once we got in, we kind of had carte blanche to do what we could. Yeah. It was
and were shoppers continuing to shop?
Say that again?
Were shoppers continuing to shop?
Yes. And we were running around signing releases and, you know.
Wow. Yeah. And one of the reasons I think this is so fascinating is don't let something stop you. It's so easy to stop, right? Well, what did they do? They sent their star. They saw the Jeffersons. They know what's going on when they see her. And you persevered.
Yeah, and funny little note, the 2 girls in the checkout stand, those are the director's Kim Calloway's daughters. First time on camera.
Fantastic. How about for you, Adrian?
Just an actor for hire. I got a call. First, I got a message on Instagram, and I ignored it. And then they followed up with my reps, and it was a straight offer. And I'm like, what's it about? And I was very intrigued. It sounded very kind of David Lynchian, which I love, and I was in.
Love it. Naiya?
Well, I had worked with our director, Gabriel, in a project previous to this one. And he had called me one day, and he was like, hey, I have the script in mind, and I'm going to send it to you, and I will, just call me, let me know what you think about it. So I read it, And I called him and I was like, are you sure you want me in this? Because I really, really liked it. I had never read anything like that before. And I think that's how you know it's really great writing, when just you reading it, you already want to know, like, okay, I need to know how this ends. I want to see it already. So that's how I kind of really got into it with Gabe.
Yeah, so possibly not happening. Actually, we never anticipated making this movie. I know it had sat in Gabe, our writer-director's desk or laptop, whatever, for a few years. And then we're very close friends. I mentioned to him this thing happened with my mother, and she, was part of this scam online. And then he said his friend, and we had just talked about all these stories that started happening. And I looked at him and I said, well, do you want to write something about that? And he said, actually, I think I have something already. And we got him in touch, my executive producers over there, Brian, and we got him in touch with a friend of mine who's in AI. And so we tweaked it a little bit to make it more up to date. It's a proof of concept for a future television show. And
May I ask, is that in the works?
it
then?
is. It is.
Yay, okay.
And thank you. We sat down and he said, I think we've got this. We got a producer on board and she said, well, it's a month into this strike thing. Nobody's working. Should we just make it? And we called SAG and we got our contracts in place and did it 3 weeks later. So, yeah.
Well, there's some parts of that were very uncomfortable because you see the vulnerability and of course the turn and the twist, and that's where I was talking about the unexpected, both making something and then also within the stories, because it was all of a sudden, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Is she going to be okay? And I love that in such a short amount of time that you're able to take us on a journey that we think is going one way and all of a sudden it goes another.
Yeah, for us it was the power of AI and unleashing this thing that we don't really understand completely. And where can that take us? When you start out doing something for good, can it turn on you? So.
Yes. So Kathleen, you're talking about that there could be a life, hopefully, and for Claudia as moving forward. Anybody else want to talk about maybe where this film might be leading, or if this was a proof of concept to move on to further work?
Well, George has a full-length script now, and we're actively pursuing financing for it, and I think it's going to happen.
Wonderful. Is Mildred going to have another million?
Similarly, yeah, we're working on the feature.
Oh, you
even as we
are?
speak, yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. There was a lot of joy in that film, and it was fun to take someone that we almost want to take care of, and then she ends up actually really being such a strong person to move forward no matter what it's going to take. And then, of course, in the ending, the fun idea of she did it, and she doesn't get upset that it didn't, that it wasn't the ending that she thought it was going to be. I love that.
And it's such a bridge and such an important topic right now, and that's kind of what pulled me into the project, and really what kind of, we worked with a lot of industry professionals that we would normally never have been able to afford, and on the strength of the short alone, they were all in. So, and we have the feature actually done, the script of it, but the timing was right to do a short form. So
That's fantastic. So you took it. It was there. The time became right. And isn't timing just everything? Yes. And one of the things I was wondering about with you, Mair, is that the story is so visual. There isn't a lot of dialogue, and yet we're following along. Can you talk about that as a writer? What inspired you to have such strong imagery telling the story as opposed to putting a lot of dialogue in there?
That would be our director's strong suit. This project, I mean, we would hope to find financing so that we can make a feature. I'll bring it back to that. But this is truly Melissa's bet on herself to show the world what she can do, what she can create with virtually nothing but support from friends, calling in favors. And so, yeah, sorry, kind of lost it.
Well, no, that's perfectly wonderful. It's always so much fun to hear what happens behind the scenes, right? Because they say there's the movie that you write, the movie that you shoot, and then the movie that you edit, which we end up seeing. Can you talk a little bit about those variances, like for you, Kathleen, being on the producer side?
Yeah, it was so fun to be a part of our writer-director's very first directing debut, actually. He's an amazing writer, and I was just a fly on the wall watching him learn and also just thoroughly succeed in this. He worked with our lead actor, Scott McCord, and we're all very close friends. So that was a really amazing process to watch because I had a shorthand already and he was able to get this fantastic performance from him, something that was quite difficult for that actor. And then he actually went over and we had a team of editors in Italy. And at first it was remote and then he sat in the room just to do the finishing touches. So that was a fun process too. And a big chunk of our filmmaking was in our post in graphics and VFX, especially for our film. And we had an amazing team in the center of the country. So we just had a big team all over the shop, and we weren't in person. And that was a really fun and challenging experience. But it came off the page, and to be honest, it feels like it was the film that was on the page, which doesn't often happen.
Adrian,
What?
was there any improv involved on your set? Because if it wasn't, I just have to say you have a beautiful way of making us feel like it's actually happening at that time, coming directly from you, not the character. Or you as the character, I should say.
Yeah. Well, that's the job. Is it real? Is it Memorex? I don't know. But yeah, a lot of it was improvised, and a lot of it wasn't. I mean, Alex and Aaron and Craig, the Craig brothers, co-directed this. They're wonderful, wonderful guys because they allowed the actors to feel completely safe on set. And most of my work, I've done a lot of improvisation. It's just how my brain works. When I'm on set, I get ideas, and I have to give them a life. And they were receptive and just let me do my thing. So yeah, there was a good portion of improvisation.
As far as like Jason, having this happen with Mildred for a Million, and then the possibility of being able to have a further life with this, does this, as a filmmaker, make you want to tackle other projects? Did doing your short film give you a sense of confidence for what you might want to move into?
Yeah, I think every film makes you just a little bit better. Every film is hard, especially the ones that you're really passionate about. And what was great about Mildred in particular was I was able to bring in all these disparate elements, like younger crew members, older crew members. I brought in a lot of different folks that were in and out of the film game to make this one happen. And indies have always been my kind of passion projects. So yeah, it's not only that everyone makes you better, but you always get hungry for it. Like, with the appetite comes the eating sort of thing. So it was really great to be back on a film set and get this one done and to see how inspiring it was. We were in like 100+ degree heat in Van Nuys in Burbank. And Marla kept us going. Every time I had some young part of the crew who was falling apart, I'm like, listen, if Marla's here in edit, I know. So we got very little complaints on this crew, right? They were inspired by her. We all were. So
You had mentioned something earlier about her too, as when she showed up at the table read.
yeah, at
Do
our table read, she came in and did the entire film just with no notes, no script in front of her, including the 2-page monologue, in one go. And then, can I try something else? And of course, Kim's like, yes. We were kind of flabbergasted, and then she would just do something else. And everybody felt like they were kind of amongst low-key royalty. She had such a powerful presence, both on set and even just in person.
Oh, I just love that. Fascinating, yeah. So there are a lot of fears, I think, that keep actors from making films. For instance, there's a lot to learn. If you're somebody who normally is on set as an actor and all of a sudden you're going to be in charge of things happening on the set. What are some things that you might be able to talk about just to sort of say, you can do it, you know, there's a way to learn. What are some, and I would say like some motivation and inspiration for all the actors who are sitting out here tonight saying, you know what, I want to make a film. I want to make that happen, but I've got some stuff in front of me that I'm not allowing myself, well, for whatever reason. So could you just, could we all just address maybe what are some fears that you might be able to just push aside so that the beautiful talent can come out?
I would like to speak to the casting because as an actor, the last 5 years have been so frustrating. You throw something out into the ether, you don't know if someone's watching your tape, and it can get really discouraging. And yet being on the other end of it and seeing Jacqueline's tape come through, she played Alma, and Carolina, who played Cristina, there was no question that that is who they were. And so I think the encouragement is just like, what's for you is for you, and don't ever doubt that. And obviously do your best work for everything, but what's yours is yours, and it cannot be taken. And you know, life, the whole thing has a way of coming together. We did not think they were going to come through for scheduling or whatever reason, and it happened. And so, yeah, keep at it.
I love that, yeah. Jason?
That's kind of a tough one. For me as a producer, sitting in the producer's seat, I like to just create the safest space I can for my actors. So if I know it's a particularly difficult scene, for example, the one particularly with Marla wasn't her in the wheelchair, but we did have some stunt consultants.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, this woman is amazing, but we have to put some limits and keep her safe.
But just creating a comfortable sets, very respectful sets where everybody feels appreciated, and that's so helpful to have a really positively charged ecosystem around you. And then I love to distract. So if there's a big stressful scene, I'll try to figure out what the process is and interject myself with a joke, or just to kind of find what's going to get them the most comfortable in just a few more steps that they have to take now, right?
Oh, that's really nice. Adrian? You've put your own projects together, the Gilbert, so you've seen both sides of it. What might you say to our aspiring emerging filmmakers?
Well, you know, one of my favorite acronyms is FEAR, stands for false evidence appearing real. And it couldn't be more true. You know, I've been in situations where I think, oh my God, I gotta be perfect. Oh, what am I gonna do? You have to understand that, you know, when you do these things, you know, it's a community of artists that are there for you. You know, like the lighting guy is going to do his absolute best to make sure that light is perfect on you. The camera guy is going to make sure it's the right lens and perfect for you. Like the wardrobe, down the line, you have a whole team that's there to make you look great and feel great. And so you have to trust that. And yeah, show up and just do it.
Great, and that's as an absolutely, absolutely, and that's from an actor's point of view, and also as a filmmaker's point of view, because you have to gather good people around you, and obviously that's what you do when you have to you want to make your own project.
100%. You not only have to cast the talent, you have to cast the crew, and it's so important to make sure that you're all on the same page and that you have a passion for the project you're doing. On my film, My Gilbert, you know, I had people like my DP left a week before day one, and I found my DP on Craigslist, the one I actually wound up working with. And you just got to power through it. But yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Naiya?
Oh God, I'm the most anxious person ever. My heart's beating out of my chest as I speak. This was like my first time doing something like this, where I was the lead and it was of this genre, and I felt like it was kind of on my back, to pull it through together. And oh my God, I was so terrified. And I think just do it while you're scared. Do it while don't wait till you're not afraid. Oh, I'll do this and then I'll be brave. No. While you're shaking, while you're trembling, while you cannot speak, do it. just do it in that way. And I promise you'll just afterward, you'll be like, okay, I did it while I was scared, but I still did it. You know what I mean? So that's what I did for this. So that's my advice. Do it while you're scared.
And she was awesome. We didn't even know she was scared.
I was
How's that?
terrified.
Oh, wow.
Terrified.
And for you, Kathleen?
For me, I would say jump in and try and do as many roles as possible, because then you will have perspective about how hard it is and how important everybody's role is, so that when you are in front of a camera, you can have appreciation and respect for everybody's job on set. I think I've produced much larger films, and I've been on set with people, actors who believe they're much more important than they are, and it shows, and it's kind of embarrassing, you know. And I
Why are you looking at me?
I'm not looking at you. I'm looking past you. Is that how you act on set? But it's true. I think perspective is really important, and if you want to, and you should make your own films so that you understand how the cookie is made. You know, and then you will have a much more of appreciation and probably enjoy yourself a lot more, and also not freak out about not getting a role, because you'll understand maybe why you didn't get that particular job.
Love it.
It's about making fans, isn't it? Like, and making a community and finding really talented friends to do it with.
And I think too, Mair, when you were talking about that, you had a very short deadline in order to recalibrate what you thought your original project was going to be. It could be done, and it was done. You did it, and because we saw it tonight.
And the version of it that I think really speaks to what we're trying to say in a way that, again, that product placement would have just not made sense there. It would have been a little cringe to look back on.
Oh, and isn't that just so wonderful when you can avoid something that you have to feel badly about or apologize for later? I would just love to know, is there anything that you feel is something that always gets in your way personally, that makes you want to stop around the filmmaking process, where maybe you found someone else that knew how to do it and what that looked like? Did you search for someone? You said, I can't do this part. I can't do this thing. Did you actually, what was that like? Did you sort of give up and say, I can't do this, but I can find someone who can? No, not really?
I have
within
something
yourself?
for that. I think going into filmmaking, especially as an actor, there's a fear around finding money. Money is a thing that scares a lot of actors, I think, because maybe our community is not one that is rolling in it, especially if you're starting out and you're just come out of drama school or whatever. There's a lot of money in this world, and there are a lot of people who would love to be part of filmmaking. And you just need to find that one person who can open that up for you. I mean, I heard, I don't know if it's true anymore, but one of the biggest group of investors in independent film are Texan dentists. I don't know if that's true anymore, but regardless, it's a pocket, right? So go and find a Texan dentist. And and some of these people just want to get on the red carpet or meet actors or just open up their own communities or networking. So it's not as scary as you think. That money is always a thing, but I don't think it's a thing.
I would say collaboration. So one of my biggest things or blockages was just self-doubt, self-fear. But surround yourself with people who are amazing at what they do. And, like, I am not the strongest writer in technical terms. I'm not. But what I feel I contribute is soul to it and some, some specifics with this story in particular. I've been meaning to write a larger piece about immigration that is very true to me, which is why Melissa contacted me to be her partner on this. I've yet to finish that story, and for many reasons, it's still very raw. I'm still going through it, but the beauty of this was that I collaborated with someone who had such a clear vision and who brought on such amazing people who made up our cast and our crew. And so I would say collaborate. You know, wherever you feel weak, just find someone who's amazing at it and go for it.
What I love about this is, you know, these are secrets to get us out of, I'm not able to do it, I can't do it, because we watched what happens when you admit to yourself, I can't do it, I don't know how to do it, but if I find someone, that a Texas dentist, or a collaborator, a friend, that there is a way through. So, and I'm sure, Jason, with your experience in looking to have a whole team from the producer's aspect, do you find that you work with the same people quite a bit?
That's kind of a pretty loaded question. It really depends on the project. I've been in the industry long enough. I've done many things. So I'm fortunate enough to have a big enough Rolodex to be able to find the right person for the job. And jumping on the answer of money, time is really the thing for me. Like, as the clock starts to tick and get closer and closer, you have that kind of like time distortion that starts to happen. Like, yes, I can crunch. Yes, I can crunch. But when you're up against that stuff, back to the kind of a crew point, you're never 100% sure, especially when you have options in front of you, not just for the day ahead of you, but the projects ahead of you and what pathway you want to take. So this was a wonderful return to film for me. The whole year I was able to do 3 films in that year, in 2024.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
It had been a while since I had been in the saddle, so bringing people in that were really interested. They had the first timers that never had opportunity to do a film before, and a couple of veterans. I just like a family vibe every time I produce a large project. So that gives me money and time. I can increase the quality, and I can increase the efficacy of any given day with the right team and the right circumstances, and enough people that are just hire people that are smarter and better than you constantly. This has always been kind of my mantra.
Well, obviously it works. You've been working for a very long time. Yeah. Do you have anything you wanted to add, Adrian?
No.
Thank you for your honesty.
You said it all. You said it all.
Oh, okay. Well, this is just so delightful, and seeing these films here tonight just shows that it can be done. Just keep going. Just keep finding a way to make your dreams, no matter how long it's going to take. Just keep working forward, really, I think is what it is, because this is a kind of a crazy time as we all know, in the business and in the world. And so taking the time out tonight to bring your beautiful work to us and talking to us about it in the process is very meaningful. And I hope that tonight some conversations you might have, maybe with those that are seated near you, or being able to talk to some of the panelists, to just keep that dream going, keep that fire going, and eventually so that we can watch your work, because it would just be a thrill. So let's thank our wonderful guests here tonight and get home safely.